Giving an everlasting impression of bitterness that'll ever touch my metaphorical anime palette, Your Lie in April truly takes the cake of what gives the average shoujo male junkie the true blue balls of anime. Being aired during the fall of 2014, Your Lie in April was said to be the pinnacle of what the bars may set in the future of upcoming romance anime. And of course, this is being made evident to its overall ranking number 25 and popularity ranking of number 26 in MyAnimeFuckingList.com. Let's not forget a member count of over 700,000 people. Whatever the fuck that means. I remember Your Lie in April being released back in 2014 when I was still a wee sophomore in high school. A lot has changed about me since then, but going back and watching Your Lie in April again, one thing sure did stay the same. The lack of interest I had towards the anime, which made it really hard for me to finish. But this time, I actually finished it. As many positive receptions Your Lie in April got, I believe it hasn't received the right amount of criticism equally. So it's time for me to put on my goggles and cuckless swimsuit and dive into my grave as I'm ready to offend over 700,000 people on myweeabooaddiction.com. Your Lie in April's nearly 4 years of original material has been picked up by numerous producers to be worked on by A1 Pictures. From the talent pool that is scattered across Your Lie in April, it seems to me A1 Pictures and its producers may have took another non-traditional route and mostly outsourcing many of their staff, which, keep in mind, is a very bold statement I am making. This isn't really a problem in most cases, but Your Lie in April shows notable parts in where it lacks, making it even noticeable to amateur critics like me. There might be many reasons to why this is, so I won't be getting into detail about it, but just to give you a solid idea, we have this dude directing mainly the series and Mr. fucking 4-page resume Jin Akitagawa composing. Two different people with miles of field experience. I couldn't come up with a proper comedic segue, so let's just jump right into the mess that Your Lie in April is buried behind under. Just a quick disclaimer, this video will contain exaggerated sarcasm, so if you feel like you enjoyed Your Lie in April and hate people criticizing your favorite anime, I advise leaving the video right now and consider if you're still a proper human being fit to live in our society. So moving that aside, Your Lie in April is a jumbled mess of confusion that doesn't seem sure of what kind of anime it wants to be, probably due to its poor execution. In one hand, it focuses mainly on the music, but on the other, it seems like it wants to be about the romance. Throughout the series, even towards the end, I could not figure out what Your Lie in April wanted to be. You have source material mainly focusing on the story aspect, yet you have the anime being directed by a mediocre freelancing director, but have a composer which have notable works ranging back to back of prestige. I mean, I haven't read the manga, so just don't take my word for it, but from what I see in the anime, it tries to still retain what it was most resonated for from the manga, yet it keeps stirring itself away to focus on the musical aspect of it. What I mean by this, one minute I would be engaged by the beautiful music choreography and be hit by a 180-degree turn the next episode of our main MC complaining about him getting cucked away from a girl because of his best friend even though he has no chance with her. So going back to the musical aspect of the series, it definitely gave clear insight of what's going on during the playing of the music. To maybe as someone who knows much classical music as the average uncultured swine like me can appreciate what Your Lie in April is trying to conceive. It's enthusiastic but somehow has a cheap feel to it, however. I don't know jack shit about music, but I guess this was one good feeling I had towards the series. However, the romance in the series doesn't do it any favor due to the fact that every single moment onwards about our two MCs are spiraled from only the first 5 episodes. Note which was honestly my favorite part of the series. And just to make it clear, I just meant the first 5. That's what I meant, not to stir up any confusion. But only from there afterwards, the series will constantly remind you why they are so special, quote unquote, in a romantic way, over and over and over with the same material used in only the previous entry into the series, which are those 5 episodes, instead of adding more meaningful ones. And this drags on and on to the last episode where it draws out from invisible dots that the series even hasn't laid out and delivers it like a cheap fucking plot twist you get off a shitty cereal box. One thing, and probably the only reason why I kept watching the series, was that I found myself very engaged by the main 4 characters. Each character perfectly drove the entry to make any anime interesting, but later on, following a massive introduction of side characters for the sake of rivalries, to push the music aspect of the anime. Oh, fuck my cursed Asian tongue. There wasn't any key information that was well delivered, interesting, or even original enough for me to even care, and that's where it starts to get all confusing and unnecessary, which honestly dragged on more than it should. The only arc in the series that played out well, even with that problem, was these two's relationship development. This is made back and forth with the music and the romance, making it seem like 2 dudes arguing in traffic, but in this case it's our director and composer cooking each other out. This left a cummy bitter taste every single time an episode transitions to new problems being introduced. I wasn't sure where to keep my interest more focused on: the stunningly well projected music but shitty side story, or questionably good yet satisfying love story. The first 5 to 6 episodes did a perfect job into equally balancing the 2 elements. Hint hint, going back into detail unlike I previously mentioned. But afterwards, I felt there was a switch going back and forth in the anime where each episode would toggle from about drama to about music. And yeah, sure, I might be discrediting the anime a little bit by leaning one element more higher than the other, but just the sheer amount of unclarity gives off a cheap free sample vibe, like a cheap stripper in a strip club you've been with your dad for that first time. So if they really wanted to evenly split the romance and the music, like the first few episodes, they definitely could have shortened the music part of the anime and focused more of the romance and character conflict aspect of the show, which was probably relevant in the manga.
But oh Fraggy, are you implying the show is fucking terrible because your review is equally as terrible, you fucking faggot? I hope you go commit die.
Your Lie in April was well renowned for its excellent and well executed use of colors in its animation. Obviously, that's one popular opinion that I won't disagree with, but A1 Pictures, being that one kid in class you know has solid potential yet just doesn't give that extra effort to push that B grade into an A, kinda rubs me the wrong way. I mean, you see the work that this kid does? Shit, I don't know why he's limiting himself to only work that extra effort for a shiny new Xbox. I mean, I get the use of CGI and far shots to save on time and probably money, but seriously, using them on a close frame shot of one of the most impactful parts about the anime just seems dirty and obvious. Why do you have to kill my fucking boner that much, man? It's such an amazing scene. Do you really still want me to keep talking about this shit? Holy fucking god.
Oh Fraggy, at this point you're just nitpicking anything you can find. Oh my god, it's a good show. Why do you gotta keep complaining about it?
Listen, buddy, I've never said Your Lie in April was bad, alright? Alright, since that's out of the way, don't get me started with the excessive use of slide moving frame shots throughout the series. Just in the opening you see the significant use of it. Literally gives you motion sickness every time. You know, come to think of it, I think I am just nitpicking stuff from the show. A painfully obvious ordeal I also experienced in this series was its poor choice of comedic punchline it delivers. Being the ignorant and stubborn retard I am who refuses to read the manga to get context materials might give me a handicap here, but I can only imagine something like this working in the manga. You'd get a beautifully framed shot of a very romantic and serious moment which makes you sense a very powerful and emotional world, then a jump cut straight from Inferno Cop shows in and ruins the moment. The first few times were funny, sure, but after using it over and over and over, episode after episode, even 3 to 4 times, it just gets overused and cringy. However, this isn't something that always happens though. There are generally some impactful, romantic, and eyeballing scenes where things do get serious. And all the scenes were meaningful and heartwarming. I just wish this was more habitual than the overuse of poor comedic punchlines. I'm not taking this lightly because overall the emotional buildup of the series was phenomenal, even though I couldn't care less 30% of the time. I felt with the right amount of input and balance of these problems, the show could have been 10 times much more impactful. I actually might get harassed by the sheer amount of shitty opinions and criticisms I've dumped into this video due to its overwhelming popularity. Shit, even Demo, my biggest inspiration in making YouTube videos about anime, hinted in enjoying the show. I'm not trying to rant about Your Lie in April, don't get the wrong idea. I'm just hinting in problems I thought could have been worked on. The show is good by all means. I fucking enjoyed it and loved it, but I guess the point I'm making is it just doesn't deserve the hype and praise it all deserved. Yeah, the romance drama was great, but what you really need to be looking out for is the music. I mean, the direction of music by Jin Akitagawa was out of this world. I think I've never enjoyed such a sweet and satisfying anime series with such great selection and composing of music. One thing for sure that impacted me the most. The opening theme songs were enthusiastic and upbeat, and Your Lie in April's second ending theme song is probably one of the few anime series I actually listened to all the way till the end, even after the credits roll. And that says a lot about me.